All right, guys, today we're going to talk about ratio and rate problems. So this is where we're going to learn how to set up a proportion. We are going to make sure we use our units and also find the missing value. So again, these are word problems, so we need to make sure we're focusing on everything we learned about ratio and rates. And then we're going to see if what's missing by setting up a proportion, where I will show you what that means. So when you write a ratio and rate problems, you're looking to find the unknown value of two fractions that are equivalent. So a proportion is really a ratio equivalent to another ratio. So I'm telling you that these are equivalent, okay? So how do you solve this? Well, one way you can do it is you can figure out, you see a pattern in between the two. So one way is, if you look at this one, you should be able to see, oh, I could go from 7 to 35, which should be familiar from what we talked about the other day. I can multiply this by 5. So that means then I can do it the same thing up here to figure out what M is. M is a missing number. So if I do it there, I'm going to do it up here. And therefore I get that this would be equivalent if this was M was 20. So therefore 20 over 35 is equivalent to 4 over 7. Why? Because if you divide by 5, they are equivalent. Okay, so that's one way you can do that. All right. There is other ways to do that as well, to see which one's equivalent, but that's what I'm going to stick with for that one. Okay. Now let's look at this one. Does that method though still work here? Is there a way for me to see a relationship between the two things that I know here? In this case, I don't. There's no way I can go from 22 to 38. Well, there is a way, but it would be a decimal. So does anybody else see another pattern? Okay, if you look at it, you should see a relationship maybe in between the 19 and 38. Isn't it true if I go from 38 and I cut it in half and I go up to, I get 19. 19 plus 19 is 38. So therefore, if I do the same thing over here and cut it in half, I should get the equivalent value. So what would that be? Well, N would be 11. So how do I do it right? Let's see, it's 11 over 22 equivalent to 19 over 38. Okay? And therefore, you can see that they are both equal to a half. So other kids said, instead of showing this, they said, Ms. Edwards, well, couldn't I do it like this? If I have 19 over 38, I know that I can simplify that down and I can make it a half. So then can I say something 1/2, instead of using this, is equal to something over 22? Could I do it that way? And I said, absolutely. Because if you simplify it, then, which I showed you this before when we did ratio tables and like scaling, if you notice, then you could go from 2 to 22 by multiplying by 11, because that does have a pattern. And then you could do it up here, times 11, and we still get the same result. So some kids said, oh, well, Ms. Edwards, you can divide by 2 here, so I can divide by 2 there, and I get the same result. Absolutely. Then I had kids in the past say, well, can't I divide that by 19? Like if I divide 38 by 19 and 19 by 19, don't I get 1/2? Yeah. And then you could find a pattern. So it's just whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so that's one way to think about it. I like this when I have a trick. If I can find a trick, that's what I do first. Okay, some kids say, well, can I simplify it and then find a pattern? Fine. Okay, but again, I'm going to also show you there's also another way, which is called cross multiplying, and then we divide. So similar to what we talked about before. So first of all, trick is obviously, do you see a pattern? Like I showed you in the first example. This is, if I have 2 over 5 equals 8 over something, which you had this in ratio tables, you should know that 2 to 8 is times 4. So therefore, if I multiply this by 4, x would be 20. Okay, so we see the trick as the best way to do it. But another way to solve a proportion is to cross multiply the ones that are diagonal from each other. So taking this example here and then dividing by the number that you don't use. So it's a lot of wording, but let me just show you here. If I have 2 over 5 and I want to know what it is 8 over x. So say I don't want to do the trick over here. What you can do is you can cross multiply the two numbers you have. I have 8 times 5, right? I know 8 times 5 is 40, right? And then you divide by the number that you didn't use. So you divide by 2, cut it in half. And again, we get 20 here. It's called cross multiply divide. When you get into algebra, you will learn that you can actually cross multiply both of them and you would get the same result. So it would actually, when you change this into algebra, it would be 5 times 8, 2 times x. So 5 times 8 is supposed to be equal to 2 times x. 40 equals 2 times x. And then you divide by 2, divide by 2, so x is 20. This is where you'll get to. This is the algebra way. So if you understand that, you can technically do it that way. This is just showing it without the x value, like using the variable, which is your letter. Okay, so this is just a little bit further into where you will get to solving equations. So let's look at this first example here. First, ask yourself, do I see a trick? Okay, and I don't see one off the bat. There's no way for me to go from 6 to 15. Okay, so what you could do is you could use then how to solve a proportion. So you could then multiply what you know. So 10 times 15, I get 150, a 15 with a 0, and then I divide by the number that I didn't use. So I divide by 6. So how many 6s go into 150, 2, 35, which I should have known that. 5 quarters or 6 quarters makes $1.25. So the answer here is 25. How do you know you get it right? Cross multiply. Does this 6 times 25 equal 5 or 15 times 10? It does, 150, 150. So cross multiplying and dividing. Now, I had kids last year, so I know that we're not live right now, or like kids in front of me. I had kids say, wait a second, Miss Edwards, hold on, I did a different way. They go, okay, Miss Edwards, I saw that I could simplify this like I showed you the last time. If I cut this in half, and I cut this in half, I get 3 over 5, right? And then they're like, okay, so now that I simplified that, I now see the trick. I could use the trick here. I could go from 3 to 15 by multiplying by 5, and then I can go 5 times 5, and I get 25. Could you do that? Yeah, absolutely. So it just depends on what you're comfortable with. Most kids tend to do cross multiply, divide. Cross multiply the two numbers that they're across from each other, divide by the other number you didn't use. But again, you could also simplify it and then use the trick. Obviously, always check to see if you could do the trick off the bat without doing any work. Okay, so this is option 1. So you can do technically this way or this way, or if you see the trick as well. But we didn't have a trick for this one. We did want to simplify. So let's look at the next example here. I'm going to go ahead and erase this so that we have a little bit of clarity. Not so much craziness all over the place. Okay, so example number 2 in your notebook. 8 over 12 is equal to something over 27. So first thing I ask myself, do I see a trick between 12 and 27? I do not. So I'm going to use the first way as how we solve a proportion. So you cross multiply the two numbers that you have. 8 times 27, so 27 times 8, that's 56, 16, 21. And then I divide by the number that I didn't use. So I'm going to divide this by 12. So 216 cut into 12 pieces. So it doesn't work. 1, 9. Bring down the 6, 96 is 8. So the answer here is 18. That's one way to do it. However, you might not want to multiply big numbers like that. So you go, wait. I can simplify this. I can go and simplify 8 12s, Ms. Edwards. Hold on. I did it this way. Is this okay? Yeah, if you did the same answer. Okay. What if you go, Ms. Edwards, I can divide this by 2, or I can divide this by 4. I can divide this by 4 and I get 2. Divide this by 4, I get 3, right? Now, if you did 2, though, you'd have to realize that you can't use, if you only divide by 2, it won't work. You have to do it again. So if I cross this out, right? So I'm not using that now. Now I see a pattern. Times 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Did we get the same result? Yeah. So whatever you feel most comfortable with, you can choose that method. Okay? So those are kind of like the basic fundamentals. So what we're doing is we're solving for a variable. This right here, we call a variable. Basically, it's a letter that represents a number. We just have to figure out what that number is. Okay? So let's look at now a word problem. Okay? Katie spent $24 on 2 pairs of sunglasses. Stop right there. I have information that I can use. $24 on 2 pairs. I'm going to write down what I know. We're going to set it up. What do I know? I know she spent $24 on 2 pairs. Okay, we're going to continue on. Using this information, how much would 5 pairs of sunglasses cost? Do you see why I told you to put the words, money on top, right? So money, $24. I'm using, again, have some units. Tell me it's dollars, inches, miles, feet, whatever you're talking about for 2 pairs. I want to know how much, so I don't know the cost. It would cost for 5 pairs of sunglasses. This says 5 pairs, so you have to match the words with your words for 5 pairs. I want to know what the heck I'm paying for 5 pairs. That's literally what the question is asking you. So again, this is why I stressed at the beginning, write your units. Match your units across from each other so they match up, okay? Now, can I use the trick here? Can I go from 2 to 5? No. Okay, so I had kids that say, Miss Edwards, wait. Can I find the unit rate? Yeah, you want to do it that way? Great. Okay, so one of the things, I think this is the most common answer I get. I go, wait, Miss Edwards, I would spend $12 for 1 pair. Is that okay if I do that? Yeah. So then I can then easily use the trick. If 1 pair is $12, I can multiply that by 5. Then I can do the same thing over here, multiply by that by 5. And I get $60, which is the answer. So how much did I pay for 5 sunglasses? I paid $60 for 5 sunglasses. That is the answer that I want. Now, some of you might not have done that. So if you see another way, is the way that I showed you, like with solving a proportion. So without here, so if I could also do 24 over 2 pairs equals something, and I'm going to put an X, so we're practicing, figure out what X is, for 5 pairs. So what you could do, which depends on your mood, you can cross multiply. So 24 times 5 is 120. And then I divide by the other number that I didn't use, so cut it in half. Well, 120 cut in half is a 6 with a 0. But it doesn't matter because we got the same result, $60. Because this would equal 60. So again, whatever you see. you might not see to simplify it, right? So then don't do it, okay? Do whatever you feel comfortable with. Am I gonna mark it wrong? No, the only reason I mark it wrong is if you got the wrong answer, okay? So let's look at another one, okay? There are 810 calories in 3 scoops of ice cream. Holy moly, okay. That's a lot of calories. About how many calories are there in 7 scoops of ice cream? So what do we know? What do we know is what the rate is already given. What rate do we know automatically? Right here, first sentence, 810 calories in 3 scoops. I'm going to write that as a rate. So I know there are 810 calories. I'm, again, writing my words. CAL is the abbreviation for calories in 3 scoops. Now, Ms. Edwards doesn't want to know the unit rate. I want to know how many calories, so I don't know what my calories are, in 7 scoops. This says scoops with scoops. So it goes down here, 7 scoops. Ms. Edwards wants to know how many calories. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Okay. Now, again, kids go, Ms. Edwards, can I simplify it? Sure. You want to simplify it? Go for it. You want to cross multiply, divide? Doesn't bother me. Okay. Not everybody might see that this actually is divisible, like the 810 and 3. So I just start out with what I feel comfortable with. I feel comfortable with this one going, I'm going to do 810 times 7. Now I'm going to do it my quick way. 7 times 1 is 7. 8 times 7 is 56. And then I tag on the 0. And then I'm going to divide by the number I didn't use. Divide by 3. 5, 6, 7, 0 divided by 3, 1, 26, 4, 8, 24, 2, 27, that's 9, but then I have a buddy for that one. So I got as my answer, the answer is 18, oh my God, that's almost all the calories for the day. 1,890 calories and 7 scoops of ice cream. First of all, that's ridiculous, okay? So you can do it that way. That's the way that most kids tend to do it if they can't see it off the bat. However, yes, you can actually simplify this. So this is way 1. Way 2, I'm gonna go and put over here. If you said, wait a second, Ms. Edwards, I can simplify this. I can figure out what it is for 1 scoop, right? So this is calories, scoop, scoop. I want to know 7 scoops. Okay, so if you actually do 810, cut it into 3 pieces, you get 2, which would be 6, 21, 7, and 0. So it'd be 270 calories in 1 scoop. Then you can use the trick. Couldn't I just do times 7, times 7, and again, you get the same exact answer that I got from the first way. You would get 1890 calories. So again, you choose what you like. A lot of kids just like to cross multiply divide. I didn't know 810 was divisible by 3, so I didn't go that route. But can you? Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay. All right, let's go to another one. 1 out of 12 students has a pet fish. Predict how many students have a pet fish in a school of 576 students. So 1 out of 12 students have a pet fish. So 1 kid has a pet fish out of 12 students total. Now we're still talking about kids, but one kid, 1 pet fish for every 12 students. That is like a ratio, right? Now, that's what I know. That's what's given to me. So let's continue on. How many students have a pet fish in a school that has 700 or 576 students? So is that how many kids have a pet fish, or is that how many kids total? Hopefully you said total. That's how many students that I know in all, the whole school. So that would match up with this. Does it always go on the bottom, this number here? No, 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 no. Sometimes it'll go on top. Match your words with your words. So I want to know how many kids have a pet fish. Predicting. So we're basically seeing if there's a pattern here. Okay. Now, do I know if off the bat if 12 times anything is 576? I don't know that. So I'm not going to even waste my time doing that because I want to do this way. Well, 1 times 576, that's 576. And I'm going to divide by the number I didn't use. Divide by 12. Doesn't work, right? 4, which is 48. 9 is your difference. Bring down the 6, 96. 12 times 8 is 96. So 48 students. Prediction doesn't mean it's going to be exact. If we continued on this rate, 48 students have a pet fish out of the total 576. So that's the part. This is actually a part of the whole situation. Okay? What you know to what you want to know. Technically, there was a relationship. Actually, believe it or not, 12 times 48 is 576. I didn't know that, so I just went this way. Okay. All right, let's look at a couple more here. So if 4 out of 10 students went to a football game, then predict how many students out of 500 went to the football game. Again, these are like the same thing. I got 4 went to the football game out of 10 students. That's what I know. 4 went to the football out of 10 total students. Then predict how many students out of 500 went to the football game. 500 would be the total. I'm not telling you how many kids went to. I want to know how many did go to the game. I don't know that. 500 students total. You should see the trick here. You can simplify if you want, fine with me, but I already see a pattern here. 1 times 5, I would have to multiply by 5. So 10 times 5 gives me 50, but I got an extra 0. So if I multiply 10 times 50, I get 500. So I'm using the trick because I can see it right now. Then I just do the top here, times 50. So 50 times 4, that's the 20 with an extra 0. So prediction is that 200 students went to the football game out of 500. Now, that's one way you could have done it. Yes, you could have said 2 over 5, and you still could have used the pattern here, times 100. So 2 times 100 is still 200. So again, doesn't matter which way you go. You want to cross multiply, divide, go for it. You could still do that here. You want to simplify and find a pattern or the trick. Fine, you see the trick automatically, then use the trick. Don't do more work than you have to. Okay? And then the last one here. Okay, Jeremy rode his motorcycle for 176 miles in 4 hours. That is what I know. So let me set it up. 176 miles in 4 hours. At this rate, this is a rate. How many miles, oops, I don't know how many miles there are, can you drive in 6 hours? Hours with hours. So again, this is going off the bottom. That's why I tell you the words are very important. I want to know how many miles there are. Okay. Option 1, cross multiply divide. I don't see a trick, so you can't use a trick off the bat, or you could simplify, whatever you feel is necessary. I don't even want to, because I don't know off the bat if this is perfectly divisible, so I'm just going to go with cross multiply divide. You just got to pick what you know. I don't know if 176 divided by 4 is going to give me a perfect, like, whole number, no remainder. So again, I'm just gonna do what I feel comfortable with. If I do 176 times 6, that's 36. 42 plus 3 is 45, and that's 10. So I got that, and then I'm going to divide by the number I did not use, so I did not use 4. So 1056 divided by 4. Your numerator is your 1056, cut into 4 pieces, doesn't work. 2, 25, that would be 4 times 6 is 24. Which is a remainder of 1, and then bring down my 6, 16, there it goes. My answer here is 264 miles he can go, or whatever, Jeremy, in 6 hours. But this is the answer here. Okay. So actually, can you simplify this one? You can. It actually will work. So kids are like, ooh, let me try it. Let's see if it works. If you want to find the unit rate over here, and you want to go, okay, I want to find what it is for 1 hour, and then I'll multiply by 6. Fine with me. I just, again, not always do that. If I see it quickly, like the 24 over 2, I knew was 12, so I did that real quick, that's fine. It's up to you what you want to do. So actually here, if I did 176 cut into 4 pieces, right, I'm simplifying this, figure out the unit rate. Let's see, 4 times 4 is 16, it'd be 44 miles in an hour. And again, if you did 44, 1 times 6 is 6. So if I did 44 times 6, I would get 264. So again, doesn't matter, it's just what you feel comfortable with. A lot of kids just say, I'm just gonna cross multiply, divide every time, because that's what I'm comfortable with. Fine, fine. As long as you do your math right, you'll get it right. So again, there. So tomorrow we're gonna start off with this question, real world question about gas. And I will see you tomorrow. All right, have a good one.